Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back. I've got another video for you. I'm going to try and cover a couple things that I felt like I should have talked about in the video I did about coping with grief. I never did give you guys any tools that I used to combat or get over grief. Just recently I feel like I've made some breakthroughs, not recently but in the last couple years, made some breakthroughs, and there's a couple things that were instrumental in that, and I forgot to tell you guys about it. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. And the other part too is I thought, the last thing I want to do is upset somebody or steer them down the wrong road, offend you. That's not what I'm here for. I just wanted to tell you. I mean, I'm not I'm not educated in any of these fields. I'm not a psychologist by any means. Hell, I'm having a tough time just figuring out how to operate this camera and stuff. So you'll just have to bear with me with some of the technical part of this stuff, and hopefully the message just gets out there. That's my main concern, and it's all coming from a place of love. So if I ever offend you, just please disregard and know that that's not what I'm trying to do by any means. But I fear that sometimes I come across, maybe the wrong way to some people. So I just want to throw that out there. But so the things that really I found useful, there's two things really that that really were helpful to me, and that was meditation for starters. But I didn't find that till later, and really the first thing that really helped me was the stories of near-death experiences, and I never thought in a million years that would be something I would be interested in or even find interesting at all or helpful, or you know what I mean. I just was like, whatever. And don't even ask me how I stumbled across it. Like I said, I'm a YouTube guy. I said that before in one of my videos, that's what I don't even watch regular TV at all, but I watch YouTube videos just pretty much any time that I'm sitting down to watch something. It's a YouTube clip from something. And I've got a bunch of things I'll share with you there as far as that goes. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to share the things I think are pretty cool on YouTube. But so the near-death experiences, there was this doctor, and I got a note here pulled up so I don't screw this up and forget something. But so there's this doctor that he's a surgeon, I guess, retired, and he's telling his story about how he was, everything was cool. I mean, I think they were on a vacation or something. I haven't watched that video in a while to remember all the details, but he goes out to use a payphone, if anybody remembers what a payphone is, and he goes out to use a payphone and gets struck by lightning, and it's like it killed him, and so he has a whole story of how he went through that, and that started me on this road of the near-death experience things, and I just kept finding more and more of them. So I'm going to put a link to the video that I watched about this guy down in the comments or whatever, the description, and then also, so that just led me to trying to find more of these types of videos, and so I found another podcast called Next Level Soul. It's the host is Alx Ferarri. He's previously was a Hollywood producer and kind of left Hollywood and started doing this podcast, and man, he's helped a ton of people. And that, the other part about all this is, man, you got to be open-minded to it. You can't close off. And like I said, somebody came to me and said, hey, watch these near-death experience videos. I probably wouldn't have done it because I don't think they're going to be helpful. But man, I'm so glad I found it. And then that Alx Ferarri as well. I mean, he puts out a ton of interviews with different people, and he's interviewed like over 100 people that have had near-death experiences. So I've watched quite a few of those videos, and the common thread with all of them was they all tell the same story. I mean, maybe not all the details, but they all tell the same type of thing that happens to them. And basically, in a nutshell, we don't die. I mean, and I think that's the biggest fear, or the reason why we have such a hang-up with grief, is ultimately when you get right down to the underlying common denominator with all of it is we're afraid to die because it's all the unknown and everything. But some of these people, if they had just had one or two that could tell you this story about how they passed away and then came back or whatever, it'd be one thing. And they have totally different stories, it'd be a different thing. But these people are from all over the world. They don't know each other, and they all basically say the same thing happened to them. It's just really interesting. So we're a spirit, basically having a human experience, and so this human body is temporary, and we all know it. I mean, we all know you don't get out of this thing alive, but it's that big fear of, well, what happens on the other side? You're just done. It lights out and it blacks out and you're done. But that's not what happens. So you don't ever really pass away. Your spirit goes on and your energy continues. And so with that being said, that kind of led me down the next road to meditation. And meditation is what puts you in touch with that energy. That's what puts you in touch with your inner being, your soul, whatever you want to call it. And so the only way to really get that or understand it is to just shut your mind off. It's easy to do, and everybody's done it. I think I mentioned before, like in that other video about coping with grief, everybody has sat around a campfire and zoned out and been like, sitting there having a conversation with somebody, and you're just kind of zoned out, spacing out, whatever, daydreaming, whatever you want to call it. That's kind of the state of mind you get to when you're in a meditation. And all it's doing is just shutting off your thoughts and all your thinking and all that busy mind. It's a left brain, right brain thing, When we're born into this world, we only have basically our spiritual side. That's all we know. We don't know nothing. We're born, we don't have a clue what's going on, and but we just came from the spirit world, and we're still in touch with that. So we basically, all we have is right brain type stuff. It's all emotions. And then as you grow, you develop the other side of things, and you start getting intellect and all the things that's necessary for you to get through this life and survive, basically. You got to be able to think. You got to be able to react to things, recognize situations, and all that. So you start developing that, and then you're learning your ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and all that, and so your thinking brain starts taking over, and unfortunately, it kind of squashes the spiritual side of yourself. So that's what meditation does for me, and does for everybody, really. And so I just thought I'd share those two things with you, and then. So like some of the things that let me just pull this up here real quick. Some of the things I ran into was Alx Utterman. She's a spiritual guru, yogi, whatever you want to call her. But she said she started out with, because the whole time I was grieving, I was also had an ulcer going on, a stomach ulcer that was killing me, and I was just in a really bad spot, man. It was pretty rough. But so I was asking for help, praying, basically, heal me, give me some way to heal up. And I stumbled across this Alx Utterman, and she was a Reiki healer. Now, I never went down that road with Reiki healing. It doesn't do anything for me, and so, but I did check it out, and she led me down to this yogi that she studied from. His name was Sri Kaleshwar. I think he's passed away since then, but it just led me down this whole road of meditation and everything, and tapping into your energies. And that, the Reiki thing, I mean, it's real. What I've read about it is basically we're all born with that. Maybe it's a skill or a tool that you can develop for sure, but it's basically healing energy, and we all have it. I mean, just like, so a good example is like, if you remember when you're a kid, or even now, if you fall down and skin your knee, the first thing you do is grab that knee and hold on to it, and you're in pain, and for some reason that holding on to it seems to help, so it's just a healing energy. It's so subtle, it's hard to really pick up on. And then the other thing is, like, somebody punches you in the arm, you're like, oh man, you just rub it, that's your thing. That's that Reiki healing in a nutshell. I mean, I'm sure it gets way deeper than that, and I'm sure I'm going to offend somebody that does Reiki healing by saying all that, but my point is, we all have these energies and whatnot, and they're all instinctive. They're not something you can think about. That's the problem. We overthink everything, and we squash down that energy side of our being, So I just wanted to share those two things with you for sure. Let me see what else. I don't want to forget anything, so let me pull this back up. And so then from there, I just kind of went into looking for more of this same type of stuff, and I stumbled across another spiritual type person. Her name's Sonia Choquette, and again, I'm going to put all these links to all these websites or these YouTube sites down in the description, and check them out, man. I mean, that's the other part of this, is you got to be open-minded. Sometimes I sit down to watch some of these videos and I'm just like, man, I'm just not feeling it, so I just click through it or whatever, and don't even watch it. Or other times, for some reason, maybe it's the title of the video or something catches my eye, so I'm like, okay, cool, check it out. But you always seem to learn something. You take away something from it every time. It's just interesting. I almost feel like we got to retrain our brains, to be more even. I feel like you'd be ahead of the game if you had more tools to play the game, and we squash down that whole energy side of ourselves, and we we're not playing with a full deck, if you want to call it that. We're not playing with all the tools we could be, and if you can use your intellectual side as well as an instinctive or intuitive, whatever you want to call it, side to get through life. When you feel like my gut tells me this something ain't right, that's a tool, man. That's real. So I just want to share those two things with you. And then the last thing I really would like to say is back to that energy healing thing. If you don't think it's real, and you're skeptical about it, I want you to think back to your mom. Just think back how your mom made you feel. And when you would get hurt, what would she do? She'd come and give you a hug. She'd rub your wherever you were hurt, maybe give it a kiss. That's real energy, man. That made you feel better. And that's something I'd like to pass on to everybody. If you know somebody that's going through a tough time, just we're all in it together. And sometimes if everybody's too prideful to say anything. But if you know somebody's going through a tough time, one of the best things you could do for that person is give them a hug. If you hug anybody, you'll notice that it changes both of your energies, makes you calmer, Just makes things better. It might take a minute. Just hold it. Just be there. Now, I'm not saying to go up and hug somebody and they don't want that attention, because that's not cool either. You know what I mean? You can't just go up and hug somebody because you think they feel bad. But 9 times out of 10, just like when we meet somebody, or not even meet somebody, say somebody you haven't seen in a long time, and you're like, hey, man, haven't seen you in a while, and you go up and you shake their hand, and inside, you really want to hug them because you miss them and you haven't seen them in a long time. And inside them, they really would rather hug as well. But they're afraid to say it. That's our ego getting away. That's that left brain, stopping you from using all your tools. And man, there's no better way to connect with somebody and make their day and make them feel better than to give them a good hug. So just want to share that with everybody. If you got something out of this, let me know in the comments. I'm going to just keep making these videos. And I'm not saying this will be the last one I'll make on grieving, but because, man, that cuts deep for everybody. We're all human. But I'm going to try and move on and talk about some other things. We all have a bunch of issues and things to get through, and anything I think I've got an answer for, I'm going to try and share with you. So just thought I'd let you guys in on some of the things that helped me, and if they helped you, that makes my day. So remember, we're all in it together, man. So I'm going to sign off for now. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Hope you have a beautiful day.